Hi, Kale. I wanted to leave you some feedback on your rough draft. I think you're working with a lot of good ideas that could potentially lend themselves to a good narrative. I think what you have here in this submission is an example of what I was talking about this week in class, where you have a lot of good working ideas, but there's not yet like a clear narrative, right? So I'm sure when you've read back through this, you've seen like a lot of fragmented ideas that don't quite connect together yet. That's okay. One of the reasons why I had you guys do the week two assignment was to kind of figure out, what do you value, and why. Those are some important things to kind of tease out before you work on this narrative. But since you are writing a narrative, you want to be able to tell one story with a clear arc, and that's the thing that I think is missing here. But I think that you have enough to work with where you could potentially stretch this out and get a clear narrative. So you talk a lot about your values in this essay, and a little bit about being challenged as a Christian. So to me, out of those ideas, those two seem like they have the biggest potential for a fully realized narrative. So I think um, maybe consider starting the narrative off with how you learned these values in the home. So really paint that picture of what your home life was like, what your community was like, and then you can you briefly mention how your mom really enforced that. Maybe paint some pictures of how your mom taught you those lessons, and then you can transition into how your faith or your morals were challenged like out in the real world, and then your decision and how you respond to that could potentially be the arc and the turning point, right, that can lead you to how you use your faith to I suppose guide you, for lack of a better word there. So I'm thinking that arc might be something really nice for this narrative, right? So paint a picture of you and your home life, kind of getting those early lessons of those values. And then what was it like, you, starting to get a little older and having those values tested. um, you know, Paint us a clear picture, a clear story of those values being tested, and how you reacted to them, right? I think that might be able to get us a clear arc, which is what we want. Um, in this narrative. Another thing that I want you to work on, what we talked about in class this week, really look for those places in the narrative that have a lot of potential that you can pause and use descriptive detail. So really capturing your home, your neighborhood, for example. You talk a lot about Christianity, so perhaps a church. Really paint the picture of those formative things for you, so we can understand um, why you feel the way that you do to go on this arc. So, like I said, a lot of some good working ideas, a lot of good working ideas. But what I want to see you working on is that descriptive detail and that clear arc. And I think you can get there. Yeah. All right. Thanks.